Welcome to the Whiskey Vault.
I'm Rex.
I'm Daniel.
He's a level 3 whiskey sommelier.
He's a master mooch.
Yeah.
That was my hand thing. I'm bringing it back.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about what to do here.
I'm making it cool again. We're drinking another gift from Harry Falkenberg.
Harry Falkenberg, you magnificent bastard!
Okay, so a couple of things. This is Colonel E.H. This is one of their special editions. It's a continuation of another spirit they were releasing before, but they're calling this Seasoned Wood.
Now
Colonel E.H. Taylor Seasoned Wood.
He visited,
and he brought about half a bottle of this.
And we got into this a little bit.
We did.
A little bit. Was this like the fancy one?
Yep.
Okay, what makes it fancy?
So so remember Mitch we're giving shit to all the time. He's
See,
actually.
I was gonna go easy on him this episode. Yeah. You just bring up things.
We're trying to bring it up again.
I'm obligated.
I know. He is a cooper.
Is a cooper?
He's a cooper.
He works in a cooperage.
He works for one of the biggest distilleries in America as a cooper.
So a cooperage is where a cooper works.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
he's a barrel. He works with
barrel
wood
maker
all day. What was that, Rex?
I don't know if I can double down on just annihilating Mitch 2 episodes in a row.
Anyway, so I wanted to figure out what do they mean by seasoned wood. Now, here is what...
How many years do you work the wood before you're considered a master?
This is the press release that they put out saying what makes this seasoned wood. So there's two kinds of ways of aging wood staves before you make barrels out of them.
So you like the mature wood?
Yeah. There's two kinds of ways. You can either air dry it out in a yard drying it, or you can kiln drying it, which speeds up the process.
You like dry wood?
And everybody, exactly, you're just killing me here. Everybody agrees that letting it sit out and air age is far superior than kiln drying it and speeding up the process.
I just heard that Mitch sits on wood.
Yes. We all do at some point in our life.
Wait a minute.
You ever sat in a chair before?
Go ahead.
I'm just saying.
All right, and scene.
And scene.
Go ahead.
So, they have they have a proprietary solution. They soaked the barrel staves in.
Yeah.
And then with water that was 100 degrees, so that encourages it to soak all the water up.
Okay.
And then they kiln dried some of them. Others were outdoors for 6 months. Others were outdoors for 12 months. They mixed these staves together when they created the barrels. Now, here's what in the last class I was hanging out in, one of our friends is a wine cooper in Napa.
Okay.
And he's been doing it for like 30 years.
Okay.
And we were asking him all kinds of questions about barrel aging, and he was brilliant. He knew amazing amounts of stuff. And what he said too was, and this is what Mitch also said, he emailed me. He said, hey, the problem with kiln drying, when you dry anything, what you have is the cells in the barrel staves will shrink and as they dry.
Okay.
Right? So,
so it's harder to get the wood note into the whiskey because those cells have tightened up?
Yes.
Okay.
No, but that's normal, right? However, when you kiln dry it, you actually harden the cells as they shrink.
And you keep them open.
And and so two things happen.
Yeah.
They're not as airtight.
Okay, yeah.
And they also don't absorb as well.
They don't absorb as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So the staves don't stick together and seal as well.
Seal as well.
But you also don't get the right amount of breathing from the wood and the whiskey.
Okay.
And so what happens is you get a lot of the notes that are like charcoal and tannins and oaky bitterness.
Right.
But you don't get into the wood sugars as well with a kiln dried barrel stave.
The fact that this is a bourbon and it smells, I haven't tasted it yet, smells this magical.
It's pretty raisiny to me.
I'm very excited about this.
This actually smells like opening up one of those boxes of the sun raisins or whatever.
50% alcohol. So 100 proof. This thing isn't trying to stretch it out by any means whatsoever. This is
I read somewhere that somebody said it might have been Whiskey Wash.
Intense.
They reviewed it as oatmeal raisin cookie.
Sweet, intense, but not sharp and bitey on the nose. It feels like there's a lot of really big, well-rounded flavors.
So here's the thing that I remember from drinking this with Harry. The moment you take a sip, all that beautiful sweetness sort of vanishes into oak.
I'm looking for the oatmeal raisin. Like a really sugary oatmeal cookie.
Yeah, like an actual
like
cookie,
a sugary
not real oatmeal.
Right.
Like an
oatmeal raisin
cookie. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Here's the thing though.
Oh man.
To me, the finish on this is bitter. And to me, that speaks of...
Not even a little bitter for me.
Overly...
Wait.
A barrel stave bitterness. Over oak.
No.
Slightly over oak.
No. No bitter for me. No bitter for me. This... How old did you say this
My
was?
mouth feels dry right now.
I can finish.
You can... No, let me have enough to do the video with.
Well, I'll leave you enough just to do the video.
I like this. Don't get me wrong. I like it. But this is more bitter at the end than I would have preferred.
This is probably one of my...
Dude, you didn't leave me enough to stand here and talk about it.
This is probably one of my preferred bourbons.
Really?
Yeah, I put it easily top 5. Easily top 5.
Man.
Top 5 bourbons. Because here's what this is doing. 50% alcohol. There's some big flavors, like I'm getting the honey. I'm not getting apple and cherry like I do in a lot of bourbons. I think the oatmeal cookie, the bit of raisin is probably as good of a descriptor as I could come up with. That these are just such pronounced flavors with a fairly high alcohol percentage, but they're all so well balanced. It's not like, gosh, I have to fight this thing going down. He's got an ass that just won't quit.
Do you know how you can have one food note, like if you don't like, what's the not parsley, but cilantro. There's a percentage of the population who, that when they taste cilantro, it tastes like soap to them. Mm-hmm. And so even a hint of cilantro can ruin an otherwise beautiful dish. Or people who hate onions so much that even the hint of a raw onion ruins what is otherwise an amazing dish. Mm. Are you a tea drinker?
Sure.
Black tea?
Sure.
Hot, not iced tea.
Fine. Yeah.
Okay. So, have you ever been around the kind of person who steeps the tea and then they pull the tea bag out and put it on a spoon and then they squeeze it and just wrench out the liquids into the cup before they throw the tea bag away?
I've seen that done.
Yeah. It's a travesty. Like, it should bring tears to your eyes.
So...
Because it's the bag on a tea is supposed to keep all of the bitter, nasty stuff in there while the essence of the tea soaks out. You don't squeeze it, you immediately ruin the purpose.
Fling it across the room.
Fling it across the room. And so,
are you a tea snob?
If you've ever had, yes.
Tea snob.
I have tea preferences.
That you impose on other people.
No.
Like an
No, I don't.
You say, you sir, that was a travesty.
Nope.
Get out.
I only know the taste of badly made tea because I didn't say anything about it. And I just drank what was served to me, and I wasn't about
There's
it.
a tea.
What happens is if you squeeze it out, then the tea becomes instantly twice as bitter. And the aftertaste on this reminds me of someone who squeezed out the tea bag before they drank tea. And instead of making this nice floral tea, you get this slightly bitter notes at the end of everything.
Okay.
And it's throwing off
you keep talking
the
about
whole thing.
You keep talking about this bitter note. I'm sitting here and I'm looking for it and I'm thinking, okay, I think I may have found it. But for a bourbon, man, that must be aged in new oak.
Yes.
That's like, it's par for the course. That's what a bourbon is. You get that sometimes sour, sometimes bitter note on the end. And to me, it's not a
but to me, it's a metallic bitter, though.
To me,
that's what throws me
one
off.
of the smallest, most insignificant flavors of all the flavors that are going on in this really big, saucy bourbon.
Yeah, but it's a dissonant note. It's like hearing a beautiful orchestra and one instrument is slightly out of tune.
Shane B. Rex, what kind of whiskey do you use for your hair?
Whiskey?
What kind of whiskey do you use for your hair, Daniel?
This hair?
I'm surprised you didn't do frosted tips on that beard.
I know, I did have frosted tips.
I have a theory about why you went bald.
Because I was doing too much hair treatment?
Because you did frosted tips and then your brain was like, this guy, he doesn't deserve hair.
No, I'll tell you about when I realized I was going bald. And that was someone's response I thought was funny.
Daniel Wood responds to Shane B. Shane B, this just made me flash to Rex roaming around a hair salon, mooching different hair care products. You say that. You say that, but... So Adrian, she's my hair girl.
Ah, that's right, you have a hair girl.
Yeah.
And man, does she love doing Rex's hair.
Oh my God. So...
Yeah.
So if you want to get really special treatment from your stylist, is what I will call it. Stylist. You go there and say, hey, do whatever you want.
You don't bring photos.
Oh, and so much so that every time I show up, she has like a private, it's not an Instagram, it's a Pinterest. She has a private Pinterest just for me. And
that is the kind of stylist you want.
In between visits, she's saying, oh, I was thinking this idea for you and this idea. And every single time it's the same thing. So yeah, whatever you want. She goes, okay. And she'll do something and it's always fine. But yes, I do mooch products.
That's commitment to the cause right there.
She's always bringing out these things. And, you know, but I don't have to wander around. She brings them to me.
Oh, snob factor. So, you want to know about my hair story when I realized I was going bald?
Sure. I feel like I need to do this while you talk.
Of course you do. No, I was in a band photo shoot. And this was, our photographer was using old school cameras, which meant that we had to go view proofs.
Oh, yeah.
At a photo house after this was over.
Yeah.
So we're in San Francisco, we're doing all these photo shoots in like junkyards and random where bands go get photo shoots.
You son of a
And
now I can only think of this tiny little insignificant flavor note.
I know.
And it's like watching a movie, which you love the movie, and then the guy after the movie said, hey, you see that scene where that didn't make sense? And you're like,
damn it!
Son of a I really like that movie, but you're right.
You're ruining it for me. So we go back to the photo house when we have one of those light tables with, you know, 500 proofs, and we have one of those little eye things, you know, like a diamond guy, and we're looking at all the pictures, and every shot where I'm like this, head down, not looking at the camera, or I'm leaning forward and looking at the ground, and some kind of cool artsy shot.
The words.
You can just see scalp. And at the time I had a faux hawk. I had one of those little mini mohawk with the front hair down.
So you had the collection in the middle.
Yeah.
And then the...
Yeah, and the collection in the middle, but all you could see through it was, you could see scalp through all of it. And my bass player is one of my best friends, Phil Sims.
Right.
He had been shaving his head since 20. Right. So he was bald and in the band. And I stand back and I hand the little eye thing to somebody else. Nope, all hair. And I look over at Phil and I'm like, Phil, I think I'm going bald. And he looks at me, he puts a hand on my shoulder and goes, buddy, it's time.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we know.
So we went back to the hotel. I shaved my head bald that night. And that's been that way ever since. Full commitment, baby.
Before the final comment here, we're taking your recommendations. What do you think is a unique and interesting bourbon?
Yes.
And we're going to be doing a top 10 video.
It can be made uniquely, aged uniquely, grain unique, but it has to be a bourbon.
Right.
It has to classify as a bourbon.
Right. And you need to basically have tasted it and decided, oh yeah, that thing they were doing, that made it special within the spectrum of what bourbons are.
It can't just be something that you like. It can't just be like, oh, I recommend this bourbon because I really like it.
No. What's different and unique? Doesn't have to be your favorite. Doesn't have to be
in a lineup of bourbons, what makes it stand out as totally separate from the crowd?
Yeah, it meets the requirements of bourbon. It says bourbon on the bottle, which is an easy way to tell. Because they don't let you do that if it's not bourbon on the bottle. Paul Dewar. I was on a cruise and they had a bourbon class sampling, so I had to go try and learn. Well, they are idiots. The bartender who was pouring samples poured 5 2-ounce samples for us and began to teach us how each got the flavors. Blanton's, Four Roses, Maker's Mark, and Bullet. He tried to teach us they would add peppers, red and green, to add flavor to the cask, as well as different blends of spices. The 6 of us just stared and listened. Myself, a longtime follower, was jumping out of my skin to yell at him about his ignorance, but chose not to be that snob guy.
Yeah, well done. Well done. But show how he turns it instead.
I kept jumping out of my skin. I let him do his spiel and then asked to compare them to different scotches they had. Glenlivet 12, Glenfiddich 12, Talisker 10 were my choices. He, being an idiot, poured 3 more 2-ounce samples of each of those for everyone.
Yes! Yes!
This then turned into 5 new Scotch drinkers, 4 of them loving Talisker and its complexity compared to the bourbon.
Yes.
When he was done, then we convinced him to re-pour all the bourbons to redo the comparison. This took 2 hours and I had to take a nap afterwards. I met with some of the men later and explained the truth of flavors and how they are achieved. Thanks to you magnificent bastards. Way to go, Royal Caribbean. Thanks for the buzz.
Here's the beauty of that. Not only did he not stand up and try to make somebody feel stupid while they were presenting to a crowd.
He leveraged that ignorance.
He leveraged it into mooching. Yes! That, my folks, that's how you do it.
What if he just had the reflex reaction of kind of, you know, you're dumbass and here's why? He would have been defensive.
Yep, and he would have poured you less.
Yeah, and you would have been able to mooch as gloriously.
Yes, that is a master class in turning idiot's knowledge to your favor.
You are officially now the cruise mooch.
The cruise mooch. All right, you ready? Here's to fighting, stealing, and drinking.
If you fight, may you fight for a friend.
If you steal, may you steal a lover's heart.
If you drink,
may you drink with us.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us in the Whiskey Vault. Don't forget to throw in a like, hit that subscribe button on the bottom right, and drop a question or comment down below.